what? Today's been a heck of a day. Obviously, you can tell it's always something going on, it seems like, right? It's always something going on. So I finally get some things working out. I'm like, okay, cool. I can get a new style of, like freaking stream going on here, right? I get a new style of stream. Even right now, I'm streaming right now. There's my little purple thing at the very bottom right here that's usually flashing and glowing and everything like that. It's not even here right now. It's completely gone. I'm already live. I can't do anything about it, but I don't even have my thing right here. So I downloaded this new program. It's not working out with the current program. Nothing's working out, right? I'm digressing. I'm devolving literally right in front of y'all's eyes. But I want to thank you for joining me tonight. Irregardless, the show must go on. Just because things don't look exactly how you want them to look, just because things in your life aren't exactly how you want them to be, even though you might have the physical materials, the actual necessary materials to get the job done at that time. Sometimes life, for whatever reason or another, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to take you along the scenic route, if you will, right? So enjoy the route while we go. Let's go ahead and break some news, or at least break our national holiday today before we get into the topic at hand. It's going to be a hot and heavy topic as well, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a very, very, very serious topic. Before we do, however, it is National Seafood Bisque Day. That's right. Happy October 19th. You see me in my festivities today. That's right. I got my turtleneck up. I had to roll it down a little bit because we're getting into fall. Fall and festive seasoning food right here. National Seafood Bisque Day. It's also Evaluate Your Life Day. Mental health and lifestyle. Evaluate Your Life Day. Today's also LGBT Center Awareness Day. Shout out to all of our LGBT. I believe they're messing another letter up at this point. I believe they're missing a letter. Hell if I know at this point. I'm not sure. So forgive me if they are, but I think they are. It's Milad Nabi. Maulid. I'm not sure what exactly that is, but shout out to all of my Milad people. National New Friends Day. Make some new friends, or as Drake said, no new friends. And then I think the last thing worth mentioning is going to be Pro-Life Day of Silent Solidarity. I'm not sure what that means, but I know it's pro-life, so I probably pissed a lot of people off right there. Forgive me. Listen, I believe in choice. Let's go ahead and move on to the news. General Colin Powell has died, ladies and gentlemen. That's once in the late, great, General Colin Powell has passed. He has left us. I believe it was cancer, but it was complications from the cerveza virus as well. The article here says that Colin Powell was the first black United States Secretary of State whose leadership in several Republican administrations helped shape American foreign policy in the last year of the 20th century and the early years of the 21st. Once again, he has died from complications, so rest in peace to General Colin Powell. I am scrambling for my links right now because they're supposed to already be ready, but in a haste, I can't get things ready in a certain amount of time, and then I start fumbling and proceeding to mess up everything on the live stream for you. We have two more news articles. I'm going to try and do this the way that I initially prepared, and in the meantime, try and use my talent of talking to make it sound like a smooth transition between our news articles. So the second news article is actually going to be a North Carolina man charged with murdering his ex-girlfriend. And get this, he already did time for killing a different ex. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This man had already killed another ex before this woman here. You see in the picture, Charles Combs, pictured with LaPortia Baldwin, a North Carolina man who spent the past 12 years in prison for murdering his then ex-girlfriend in 2004, is now facing murder charges. Where is my show sounds? But the 2004 charges of it, but he already has 2004 charges of facing another murder charge. All right, so the body of LaPortia, who's on the right-hand side here, Chantel Baldwin, was found recently. This man has been given a right out of jail, and he went on to kill again, ladies and gentlemen. So, together, Black Lives Matter kind of incident of misappropriation of power, if you will. I guess that's the best way I can kind of describe that. And I know this is a gruesome article, last article of the day, ladies and gentlemen. This man that you see on the screen right here has been convicted and released of the crime of murdering and sodomizing a 4-year-old when he was a teenager. He's been granted parole. He's now 41 years old. He was locked up. His name's Eric M. Smith. He murdered 4-year-old Derek Robbie in 1993 as Robbie walked through a park on his way to summer camp in Steuben County, New York. Always New York in the building, right? Jeez. Robbie was alone walking with Smith, lured into the woods near the boy's home, hit him on the head with a rock, proceeded to do very bad things to him, and now he is out of jail, ladies and gentlemen. I bring these stories to you, and I've gotten these asked a lot. Why do you bring such gruesome stories? Truth is because I need y'all to understand the world that we're living in today, and without further ado, we're diving right on into the topic at hand, all right? Right into the topic at hand. Man, I really wish that my stream was set up the way that it's supposed to be set up. Let me try something really quickly, y'all. Hold on one second. Let me try something really quickly. This is probably a bad idea. No, I don't think that did anything. All right. Well, you know what? If it time to go on, the show must go on. It can't be perfect. This is killing me. This is destroying me. The black single mom. All right, the black single mom. This is also the single mom narrative, but I obviously wanted to make it something that'd be a little grabby. But make no mistake about it, this is going to be talking about single mothers and single moms and just how crazy of a discussion really we have yet to have about this. Last thing I want to say about the news, a lot of things going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to take care of yourself. Start thinking about your own self-defense because there are predators amongst us in the crowd. Mother versus single mother. Often I hear something that it wasn't until recently it honestly began to trigger me. I'm gonna get my creepy music going as well. Y'all forgive me. This didn't really start bothering me up until recently, and all of a sudden I started hearing it and just thinking to myself that just doesn't quite sound right. It doesn't sound right when we say single mom or single mother. Why do we say that instead of just mother, right? Even if this was anything other than just an epidemic fail, or I'm sorry, a terrible fail, right? In the means of which to describe a mother and child, why is it that there's a negative connotation to the term single mother, especially black single mother? And why do we assume or associate single motherhood with black single moms, right? Now, the answer to this question is marriage. Marriage is the reason why the term single mom has been relegated to, or the term mother has been relegated to single mother, right? Marriage has been the end-all be-all, if you will, right? Marriage. Because in a society that holds legal grounding in legally observed unions, marriage, it's not only the government's best interest to get married legally, or to legally bind a couple, but it's also in the couple's best interest in this case in America. It's a quid pro quo, if you will. You help me, I'll help you. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Now here's where the waters start to get a bit murky when you start talking about mother and single mother and whatever it might be. So pay attention to this. If marriage is going to be observed as the publicly accepted level of tradition, then it's to be assumed that both parties are going to be held to traditional role and values, right? So marriage is the great equalizer. Marriage is what they tell you as a woman that your worth is essentially judged by. If you haven't been married, if you're this age, you haven't been married, you haven't done this, you're lower, right? You haven't achieved as much as you can in society. And this is all races of women. All races of women are seen as less than until they get married. Or there's pressure from society to go out and get married, as if marriage is the end-all be-all. Now, we were talking about abuse and things of that nature beforehand, and now we're going to kind of shift into a different type of abuse, but this type of abuse can also be an indirect effect of other abuses as well, or indirect causation of other abuses as well, right? So marriage has been publicly accepted as the moral norm for a woman. And any woman who's not falling under line with that public acceptance of marriage, then there's something wrong. There's something off. That's what society says. That's what the Manosphere says, right? After all, Kevin always says, well, where's the ring on your finger? I don't see no ring. No ring, right? There's no ring on the finger. Now, with single motherhood, or with being a single mom, or just with being a mother, and I want to start making sure that I say from now on mother instead of single mother, because once again, this assumes a negative connotation to being single, where it assumes that most men in this case would be good, or most men who are married are good, and that's simply not the case. Just because you get married, once again, we've covered many stories where the person was married, where the couple was married, and one of them ended up killing each other or something along that lines. We need to be very careful in moving forward and cautious in moving forward with understanding that marriage is not the end-all solution. And that's why we're talking about what we're talking about today, right? So when somebody asks you, where's your ring? You ask them where theirs is. The group of men that we talk about a lot and that really chastise and demonize women, mothers, is the Manosphere. All right? I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple videos really quickly. It's really, man, it's bothering me so badly, yo, that my stream is not. It's bothering me so badly that my stream is not to the quality it needs to be right now. Like, it's really, honestly, destroying me. Y'all have no idea. It's destroying me, yo. Okay. can't do anything about it. I can't do anything about it. All right, let's go ahead and move on to some videos really quickly here, y'all. I'm sorry. All right, let's move on to some videos here.
What's going on, everybody?
This first video I wanted to show you, you already heard it a couple seconds ago. But it has to do with how the manosphere looks at marriage, right? Or single women or single mothers or whatever it might be, right? I'm going to play a couple clips and then we're going to go forward.
Imagine sitting in a car with 3 men, one that was married, one that was divorced, my father, and one with a baby mama. Of course you know that their experiences with women was always one of those topics being discussed. Oddly enough, a lot of the things that I heard then that I really didn't understand are being echoed by the red pill space today.
All right, so he said imagine that you're sitting in the car as a child with 3 dudes or 2 dudes. He said 2 of them are single, one of them's divorced, one of them whatever, and then the other one's married, right? So already off the bat, you have a 66% failure rate at this point because only one of the guys was married, right? But he's kind of just describing in his opinion or his experience why there's a need for the manosphere and the red pill, right? So I wanted you to hear that. Let's move on really quickly. All right. And then a side note, my father would never have me in the car with 2 men unless they were like my uncles or something. So that's just kind of weird, right? I'm sorry, I'm trying to read comments too. All right. So I'm just gonna fast forward here, and I'm just gonna play his final thoughts, and then we're gonna move on for a second.
So then the toxic aspect of it. Now, personally, I don't subscribe to the red pill philosophy because I'm a man who has been married for 19 years as of the recording of this video, and I advocate for marriage, but in a realistic way with the pros and cons, none of this fairy tale nonsense. Like, I do ask deeper questions to say, is this something you really want to do? And you really.
All right, so once again, this is a guy who's married. He's been married for 19 years, and he's explaining his stance on the manosphere, all right? We'll explain why I played that. That's right, he's been married for 19 years, all right? This is also, by the way, the video of his wife, or this is his wife right here. I just wanted to show that he is actually married. And the reason I'm showing this is because he's, in that video, describes him being a part of the manosphere and him being a part of, understanding why the manosphere needs to exist, this, and that. But keep in mind, this guy's been married for 19 years, right? 19 years. Now, the next videos I'm going to play are going to trigger you a bit. If you're easily triggered, then I'd advise you to go ahead and walk out right now. All right? I'd advise you to go ahead and walk out right now if you are easily triggered. But I'm going to play you a video from a clip of somebody who's a traditional or typical manosphere guy. And this guy can be white, black, any color you envision. And for this video particularly, he's black, right? So let's talk about this today. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Once again, trigger warning.
A single mother asks, why is it that women can marry men with kids with no issues, but men don't like to marry women with kids? Let me give you the answer. We see women with kids and extra baggage. Because most men...
You know what? Y'all joke about like the way I do like the, we joke about the dusty fingers and everything like that. But then you hear these guys speak, right? So let's take a quick look at this guy. Let's just check this guy out. I don't know what's going on with the sunglasses. I'm not sure what's going on really at all. Beard looks decent. Beard looks good for him and everything. It's obvious that more than likely, he's not he's not like balling outrageous or anything, right? But it's pretty obvious to me and pretty apparent that, he's not necessarily the most well-spoken, things of that nature, right? And I'm showing you this video for a reason, because I'm getting ready to shift to a polar opposite, but I need to get this ingrained in your mind before we shift to the polar opposite side of things, right? So let's continue here for a second, and just listen to the way he talks, right? That's not really right, though, true, right? I do this for a reason.
Let me give you the answer. we see women with kids and extra baggage because most men are providers. So we see you.
Most men are providers. That would assume that most men have the ability to be a one person household, and we know that that's not the truth. You know, especially not with black males. Kevin even knows it's not the truth. He said that plenty of times. Kevin Scamios has said it plenty of times that if you are a woman, and a black woman in particular, you're going to have to work, right? Because black males just don't have the ability, by and large, we just don't have the infrastructure to have single parent households, right? That's a rarity. Let's continue.
And the kids as liability, okay? We feel like we got to provide for you and provide for your kids. And then we can't discipline your kids because their daddy might still be.
All right. This nigga here. So that's one end of the spectrum, okay? That's one end of the spectrum. Let's move to the other end of the spectrum, okay? Pay attention. All right. It's obvious that education matters, ladies and gentlemen. Very obvious. There's a YouTuber by the name of Miss More Than Average Videos. Miss More Than Average Videos. She's a new YouTuber, so make sure you give her page a look-see. I'm going to post her link in the chat, actually. This is her page right here. It looks like for the most part she just has typical stuff, but it's kind of focused on dating and, you know, just the beauty ideas and things of that nature. So Miss More Than Average right there. And she made a video called The Reality of Dating as a Single Mom, Part 2. And I thought this video was particularly interesting, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at it right now because it gives some pretty severe insight on the mindset of single mothers. And then we're going to talk about the idea of accountability, and we're going to get into all of that right now. We're going to get into all of that right now because I think it's time we go ahead and really talk about it, right? So keep in mind the gentleman that you just saw, who I don't know if he's a father or not, to be honest with you. God knows at this point. And then I want you to listen to this young lady who's a single mother. Right?
And they need to witness you loving yourself so they know how to love yourself too, because we are subconsciously teaching our children how to love themselves by how we love ourselves. So just take heed to that. Sometimes your kids have shown you ways of that they need you alone. You know what I'm saying? They just need you to themselves right now. If you're out here dating and stuff, you gotta date people that understand your kids come first. If they can't understand that, then it is what it is. They got to go. Ain't no more dating. Ain't no more texting. Ain't no more we going out to eat. None of that. Because you gotta understand my baby come first. And if they can't handle no, then 9 times out of 10, they toxic.
So this is something that I've always heard the manosphere complaining about. I've always heard men complaining about the fact that women place their child first. And that as a man, you will never have the ability to hold the woman's first place heart in her heart because the child always comes first. And my direct response to this was a lot like what the young lady said here, which is, of course, my child comes first. I mean, it's her child, right? But you have a very large amount of guys who will see a mother always place her children first and then start to feel jealous of the child, right? And start to feel jealous of not getting the same attention as a child. Now, this particularly happens with, potential stepfathers or boyfriends coming into the picture, things of that nature, right? But the very thing, essentially, that most mothers do, that most guys in the manosphere hate, is make sure that the child comes first. And so when they ask them to hang out or whatever it might be, when they ask them to spend time with them, when they ask them to be inconsiderate or to do something that's inconsiderate of the child's time, the child's schedule, depending on whatever time of day or age or whatever it might be in their moment in life, when they ask them to do something and women aren't able, or a black woman isn't able to compensate their needs, now all of a sudden this black woman is argumentative, or she doesn't have time for me, right? Or I don't like dating single black mothers because they use me or whatever it might be, or I don't know, whatever it might be. But she's not as able to be controlled or manipulated in a lot of cases, right? Because her priorities already lie with the responsibility of another person. Now, whether or not you choose to date anybody with kids, whether man or woman, that's your own personal choice. All right. I'll always let everybody have their own personal choice in the matter. That's not the problem we have here. The problem we have here is the hateful rhetoric online. When I type in single mothers on YouTube, or when I type in manosphere single mothers, or when I just even think about single mothers, or even bring up the concept of single mothers, the problem with this, with mothers in general, whose fathers aren't in the life, or whose children's fathers aren't in the life. The problem with this is that we automatically go to such a negative stereotype. And then once we're at that negative stereotype, we tend to try and figure out ways to put the blame for that situation, this negative situation, on the mother, right? We tend to always do that. Now, we just saw a lady speaking very eloquently. She's a beautiful young lady. She's got a child. Which person would you rather the child be with in this case? I've always heard, and I've always been fascinated by the manosphere, because the manosphere says, and they say this particularly for the women who have boys, oh, you need to give the child to the man's father. You need to give the child to the man's father. That child needs to be with the boy. He can't be with the mother. Your mother can't raise a child all the time by herself. The mother can't do this. The mother can't do this. The mother can't do that. Assuming that every father's a good person, right? Assuming that there aren't already kids who are in the father's life. As a matter of fact, the research and statistics show that around 70% of children, or maybe 80% of children, are with the mothers and 20% are with the fathers, or maybe it's 30%. I don't know. I got the links right here. I'm not going to pull it up right now, to be honest with you. I'm not going to pull it up. All right, but I got the links right here. I'll pull it up, because if I don't pull it up, people are going to claim I'm lying. So let me go ahead and pull it up really quickly. It's financesonline.com, single parent statistics. It's 45 single parent statistics you can't ignore, 2021 gender, race, and challenges. U.S. parent household by ethnicity. Single parent household by ethnicity is black and African Americans at 64%. We definitely know that, right? Single parent statistics by gender. That's where I found that number right there. You can find that as well. Single parent statistics by race. Right, 4.14 million African American families with a single mother, and then it also says right here 1.5 or 0.5 million African American families with a single father in the U.S. So 4 million and 1 million. 25% of the single parents in the United States are in fact men. So this does happen at some point or another. I guess the next question would be whether or not the men that are with single fathers show a significantly better chance of lifestyle or progression in life as a normal competent adult in comparison to the single mothers, and whatever those numbers lie in between. I haven't heard of those kinds of studies, to be completely honest with you, done. As a matter of fact, I haven't even heard most guys in the manosphere mention the fact that there are 25, nearly 30% of children who are with the fathers right now, right? Once again, it's somehow antiquating or proving or trying to prove this ideology that the man is somehow the more moral or responsible or upright character for the child to be with. Oh, just give it to the child because the father's got his entire life together, right? Somehow we've given the power of always being right no matter what over to men, right? You got to be good enough so a man can marry you. You have to submit to the men. You have to be willing to serve the men. You got to take care of the man's child. If you end up breaking up with the man, you have to give the man his child. The man, it's always the man, the man, the man. And as it pretty much can be clearly seen in our community, we have the most degenerate men. So when the most degenerate men try and grasp or grab at this manosphere creation, this manosphere entity created by white men, when black men try to grab and for lack of a better term, and I don't even want to say that, to be honest, modify it to something that fits their beliefs, they dog it out that much more than it's already been dogged out before, right? Because the traditional roles in each of our societies are somewhat perverse, as it might be. Traditionality in white society is very different from traditionality in black society, right? So when they grabbed, when black degenerates grabbed at the black man, or at the white manosphere idea, they perversed it. They further degenerized that idea, that concept. To now where we're at is pretty much the idea of, if you're not as a woman submissive to a man, if you're not a slave to a man, if you choose to take your child and leave and to form and to have a family in just a better situation, whatever it might be, then there's something wrong with you because you chose to not be a slave, right? Now you're wearing the scarlet letter. That's the single motherhood badge in America. Once again, this carries over to all women in America. If you're a single mother, it's seen as whatever it might be. Moreover, even on paper, you have to understand that things are deeper than rap. So on paper, if you're not a married woman, well, then technically you're a single mother, because it's not counting the fact that you have a cohabitual relationship or whatever it might be. But get this. Let me take this a step further for you, okay? Let me take this a step further. In what world do black men, who are the men who are the least educated, who are the least conquered by white men, who get upset at me for saying, oh, white men have conquered you, who have whatever it might be, they've just had their way with us, right? In what world do they get upset at the white man for essentially conquering them and making them live in a life full of their systems, right? The system. In what world are you upset at that, but then try and use the same white man certificate to shame and keep accountable or hold accountable, aka abuse women or women who aren't married with a child? In what way do you determine that white supremacy in the way of them deciding to go after you and black women together, right? You both hung from trees, right? In what world do you decide that the white man is wrong there, but in the constitution of marriage, or in the context of marriage, the white man is right? Let me tell you something, guys. All you guys who are trying to shame women for marriage, it's time that we go ahead and take a look-see, right? It's time we take a look-see, and I want to show something to you. I want to show something to you, because this right here is going to teach you a little bit about marriage and why you might have heard of the feminism movement or something along that lines, because a lot of you guys don't understand just how bad women had it for a long period of time. A lot of you guys don't understand the concept of marriage, where it originated from, things of that nature. And just like in that time of ancient days past, it would seem, we are in a different time as well, where we still are trying to use the same traditional values of marriage and apply those to a woman based off of her choices to observe those values. So here's marriage, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. History of battered women's movement. That's right. History of battered women's movement. During the reign of Romulus in Rome in 753, wife beating is accepted and condoned. 1200 AD, wife beating is common in Europe and is endorsed by the church as the loving husband's mean of correcting his wife's faults. 1300, rules of marriage exhorted Christian husbands to beat your wives soundly, not out of malice or rage, but out of concern. 1600, battered women's shelters as we know them today may not have existed until the 19th century, but abused women in Europe knew where to hide. 1871, Alabama and Massachusetts declare wife beating illegal. Thank God, Jesus Christ. 1900s, wife beating receives public attention. Awesome. 1910, Supreme Court denied a wife the right to prosecute her husband for assault because to do so would open the doors to courts to accusations of all sorts of one spouse against another. Imagine that. 1970, the first battered women's shelter opens in Chiswick, England. 1973, the first battered women's shelter is opened in the United States. Okay, you pretty much get the point at this point, right? Like, marriage hasn't always been in the best eye or seen the best way for women. This is historically for a long time at this point, right? Getting married used to be a pretty dreadful thing for women, because particularly the young girls would be married off for power or for whatever it might be, advancement in the family, yada, 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 yada. We're in 2021 now, right? And now this concept of marriage once again still looms over the head of women, and black women in particular, so much so that the rest of the world sees black women in this negative eye, negative stereotype, and to where, you know, most of the time, and we have to be honest about the numbers, right? This whole whatever it might be, even though we understand why these numbers are the way that they are a lot of the time, the reason why I preach and talk about these messages the way I do is because hopefully the rest of the world that does look at our women in a certain light, that does look at our community in a certain light, can finally start to understand that a lot of the reasons that our people, that our women, that our children, that our communities in a certain light is because of the failure of the leaders, because of the failures of black men. And so to kind of go back to this concept and idea of the single mother, right? The single mother, or the mother, as we should be go ahead and affectionately redubbing it, right? To go back on this idea, when you look at the video of the guy that you just got done speaking, no person in their right mind would want to be with a guy like that, right? He's delusional for the most part. We're going to push this a bit further. This is where things start to get very interesting. All right. This is where things start to get very interesting. Before we get there, I want to say something here, right? I feel like I'm missing something. I feel like the fact that black men divorce white women at a rate that's 244% higher than black women and white men needs to be addressed more in regards to black women getting destroyed for being single mothers. The greatest growing single mother, I think, group right now is white women and black men, right? And once again, this is not to shame anybody or any women for being a single mother. It's to simply bring light to the fact that certain communities are dealing with much more of this plight than other communities are right now, right? Why is it the fact that the worst fathers are able to somehow hold marriage over the heads of their women? How is that? Mahogany Peak said something. She said black men try to exercise what little power they have in America within their relationships. And we have said the same thing on this channel. Often it seems like men just don't want to be followed or submitted to, right? They want to be worshipped and they want to be pandered to, physically, emotionally stimulated, but without them giving anything back in return, right? Of course not. That's what a submissive woman is supposed to do, right? Just like a slave. We've said that many, many, many times, right? Many times. So in the black community's case, and this is crazy, right? Have a baby, lose in society's eyes, right? Due to you being a faulty woman. You lose in men's eyes, quote unquote, or so they say, even though you don't, due to you being a faulty woman. Choose not to have a baby, you lose in society's eyes, due to you being a faulty woman. Now, imagine for a fact, you know, and this is the crazy part here, choosing to have a child for one personal reason or another, choosing to have a child, and aside from the monumental task that lies ahead, being a woman also needing to preserve your own mental thought and sanity of mind, because society and modern day men have embraced a resurgence of the Salem witch trials by trying to make single mothers like witches, evil entities or something like that. Right? You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Right? What I find interesting is no matter how far we progressed in technology, social status and circles, right? No matter how much we learn, single motherhood still has not progressed further as an idea past the 17th century mindset that occupied the Puritans within the colony of Massachusetts Bay. It hasn't moved, right? The problem with the Manosphere is that what ends up being the problem with a lot of what ends up being the problem with a lot of brick and mortar stores, right? So let me make a metaphor here, a metaphorical comparison. And before I show you this video, I have to explain this. When the internet first became big, there were a lot of mom and pop shops, right? A lot more than there are now. Because you could get a certain level of service at a mom and pop shop, this, and that. After the internet became big, if the mom and pop shop didn't figure out a way to digitize their business, their brand, their image, a lot of them went out of business, or they just got overtaken by the larger corporation or company, right? So right now, sorry, I'm looking at something. Now, what was once commonly looked to, or businesses that are often preferred to us by many, right? I'm sorry, 1 second here. Okay. Yo, I don't know what the heck I wrote right here. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna have to skip that. An ability to modernize and form a digital imprint or scalable business model online has destroyed and or severely limited the potential earnings of many small businesses during the technological revolution, right? So what was once commonly looked to or a well-established business model hadn't necessarily changed. As a matter of fact, when done right, the brick and mortar businesses is often preferred by many of us, right? Cars, jewelry, certain clothes, electronics, high-value items. It helps with buyer's remorse. But to take it a step further, once a company builds a solid enough brick and mortar brand, online transitioning becomes easier due to the infrastructure and resources that the value of the business generates, right? So back to the Puritans. Why am I saying this? Let's watch a video really quickly. All right. So I just spoke about evolution, and I'm going to show you something here. We're going to watch something. This is about a young woman who's decided to become single by choice. I'll give you her YouTube, but we're going to watch this together. And this is a new phenomena that's happening through IVF in vitro, things of that nature, fertility services. Young women of all races, not just black women, all races, are starting to become single mothers or have children by themselves purposefully, right? So this is a very interesting topic. I know a lot of you are going to feel very differently or feel a lot of different ways about this, but I want to listen to her speak about it and why she decided to go the way that she went, and we'll move forward. So here we go.
Hey, so I wanted to quickly talk about what a single mom by choice is. If you are interested in finding out what that is or learning more about the topic, go ahead and stay tuned.
Sorry about the ears.
So a single mom by choice is pretty self-explanatory. It's pretty much someone who wants to be a mother, so they go about it on their own. Yeah. It's not much more to it. So you just become a mom on your own. So people wonder why someone would want to be a single mom by choice. I know I've mentioned to people, oh, I'd rather just be a single mother. I think once you get to a certain age, people start to ask you, when are you getting married? When are you having kids? Et cetera, et cetera. And I've said, like, I would rather just have my kids on my own and be a single mom. I've had people ask me, like, why would you want that? For me, I don't have to compromise.
So this is, I know this might be kind of, intense for a lot of y'all. And I know a lot of you are going to feel a lot of different ways about this, right? Whoever super chat $5, I appreciate that. Whoever super chat $5. Oh, I see it here. Dark Energy, thank you for the $5 super sticker. Right. So we spoke about evolution a second ago, right? We talked about how when you are stagnant, or when things are stagnant, the rest of the world moves around you, right? Guys always speak about this winter type thing, right? This winter. Winter's on the way. Winter's coming. You're going to die alone. You're not going to have kids. You're not going to have this. What we're seeing right now is unprecedented movement. Women at this point are saying, you know what? Even if we aren't able to get a guy, we're still going to get a family without y'all. Let me tell you something. Right now, listen, I know a lot of y'all are going to feel a lot of different ways about this. I'm already kind of reading the compliments, right? I know this is going to be crazy. I know. Right now, though, I need you to understand this concept fundamentally. Men, right? Men. And this is obviously isn't going to make any sense, but the civilization of the world can continue to go on without men at this point. This is something that men are very upset about, especially the manosphere. They're like, oh, women don't submit to us. They don't respect us. They feel like they don't need us anymore. Women are so independent, and women have lost their sense of tradition and morality and things of that nature. Well, when women have the ability to go off and have a child without you, then men are going to start to feel that a lot more, right? A lot more. Right. Fact of the reality is we're living in like Jetson era. Not really. Technology, though, right? You're talking about a man can go right down to the bank, donate 50 versions of themselves, and a woman can walk right into the bank and decide to have a child with a version of that man based off of whatever traits and qualities, characteristics that he possesses, right? And some women are doing that. Some women are deciding, you know what? I don't want to put up with being in a relationship. I don't want to put up with the guy. I'm tired of being with the guy. Right? I'll just have a baby myself. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm just saying, like, guys, you need to really understand and wake up. Things are moving in a very interesting pace and at a very interesting rate right now. Right now, I definitely still do believe that yes, 1,000%. It's great. It's great to have a 2-parent nuclear family, like Alex says right now in the live stream. I thoroughly believe in all that. I love it. I believe it, and I support it. But not everybody's going to believe in that going forward. Right? The farther that as men decide to go against traditionality, the farther that men try and bend the rules of black women in their relationships to fit what they think black women should be, the more that black women and women in general are going to say, you know what, F your rules. We don't want your rules. I don't care about your rules. The more you're going to push them away, right? Free Babe says we tied. Kimberly Watson with the $5 super chat says holding out for your black king just makes you look desperate. Most women of no color openly detest black men, and that's their preference. I feel you. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. This is very interesting times right now. Yo, I'm still so like, I'm so off from my live stream not being right. It's like throwing off my entire live stream, yo. It's destroying me. Y'all have no idea. It's destroying me right now. All right. I'll read some more of y'all's comments in 1 second. Hold on. All right. Shamar Bryce says, trying to bend us into twisty straws. Right. Brown Bear says, all my friends that have children with black men are single mothers anyway. The only difference now is this woman may have hit the genetic lottery. Okay. Organic Black says, your old buddy Jose Cio's in the building. Okay. Jose. I'm not quite sure. Oh, Jose. Okay. I think I remember you, Jose. I'm sorry, man. Forgive me. Reading a couple more comments. If you're just now joining, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like the video. Thumbs up on the video. I appreciate you for liking on your way in. Thank you. It's a little festive. I wanted to put on my sweater, my Christmas sweater. Care 101 says, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Absolutely. Smart Cookie says that music is doing something to me. I appreciate it. Class Ruby says, I don't understand. Do people forget being kids how much you craved and needed both a mom and a dad? Why would you want to intentionally cause your child pain forever? Well, it's interesting, you know. I think that, you see, I think this is kind of, you know, the issue with a lot of things going on, right? Let's use the body as an example. Once one thing's wrong in the body, it can cause an effect somewhere else. For instance, if you feel a pain in your feet, doctors are trained to know that if it's a certain pain in a certain region of your foot, it might have to do with something with your chest or with your heart or something, right? And so what you might think is a problem with your feet might actually be a problem with your heart. It's just that the sensations that your body is letting you know is through a different area, right? And so a lot of the times we'll see a problem and we'll say, man, this is a problem. We're seeing a problem here. Man, this is a problem. Why would you want to do this? When the problem isn't necessarily why a woman would want to have a child by herself. The problem is, rather, why a woman has a child by herself. The problem is why a woman would want to have a child by herself, not why she has a child by herself, right? The problem is how she came to having a child by herself. Not that she has the child by herself, but how she came to do that. That's the problem. So it's just kind of a different way of looking at it, but I understand what you mean, right? I understand what you mean. ZB says, oh, this is happening. Please understand, some black women are making moves like this, planning to store their eggs by 30, and other plans that are chef's kiss afterwards. They understand the village concept, right? Definitely. NK215 says, we still need men. We just don't need black men. Yes, there are exceptions. The man doing this channel is an exception, but as collective, they are trash. I feel you. Mystic Tone said, eloquently said, THT. I appreciate that. Nika Baby says, women want children, period. Sometimes it doesn't matter how she gets it. I think that most women would, yeah. Most women probably want children. I think there's some women that legitimately don't want to have children, you know. Some don't. I think it just all depends. God, I'm so upset about my stream, dude. Never gonna get over this. I think it all depends. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the panel. Go ahead and open up the panel right now. It's one of those streams for me, y'all. It's just not coming. It's just not coming together tonight. Sometimes it's like that, you know. Try and push through, but it doesn't always add up. All right, let me try and see if I can remember my Zoom login. All right, first one was wrong. We'll see. Second one. All right, we're in. All right, I'm going to post a link right now. You know the deal. If you're able to join it, then you're more than welcome to join it. I'd like to hear your thoughts, your ideas on this topic, single motherhood, the negative aspect of single motherhood, the negative portrayal of single motherhood, and what you think about women voluntarily having children. You agree? You disagree? I'd like to know. I'd like to know. All right, let's see if I can figure this out again. All right. Here is the link. Passcode is... Boss Man said, let them know all of us aren't bad. Definitely, Boss Man. Boss Man's a good dude, ladies and gentlemen. Boss Man's a good dude. There's the link to join the Zoom. If you do decide to join, come in with the mic muted, please and thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate that. Please and thank you. Mia, I just put the link up. India B says, having children rewarding, but it's no fun. Lemonade says, I wish I could tell you that it's great. The topic is awesome. This is a well-needed discussion. I appreciate that, Lemonade. Thank you. Tropic Chocolate said, even though having kids is hard, there's still a need to have them in a woman, I think. Okay. Uniquely Vicky says, I raised a son, but I never wanted children. Love Lee says, every single mom I know was planning to always be with their child. Life just happens. It's deep. It's deep. Thank you, Canteron. I appreciate that. Canteron says, I like the sweater. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. My contacts are dry. A few of y'all out there know why my contacts are dry so much. It's because I sleep in my contacts. Don't get any crazy ideas, y'all. ZB says children are gifts. Definitely. Okay, Kay is in the building. Good to hear you, Kay. I hear you right now. Let's go ahead and join and talk with Kay. See what she thinks about. And, you know, we might go ahead and play the video. Actually, you know what? We'll play a little bit more of the video here. And then we'll get Kay's thoughts and reactions on this as we play a little bit more. All right.
And so I don't have to compromise in how I raise my kids. I don't have to compromise in where we're living, in moving for someone else's career, like medical decisions, etc. And I'll be honest, initially I did look into having a known donor or like a co-parenting situation. And I'm really glad that I didn't choose that route because I don't want to share these decisions with anyone.
Okay. Wow. It's very, very, very interesting. Okay, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. What do you think about the single mother hatred and or being a single mom by choice, or your personal experience with being a mother?
Okay, so I'm listening on the Zoom and I didn't hear anything she said. As soon as you played the video, it was just muted. I'm not sure if that was for everyone or just on my end.
Oh, okay. No, it's not a problem. So pretty much she ended up just describing why she decided to be a single mother instead of having a co-parenting relationship, and she just felt like because she was more autonomous and didn't have to necessarily answer to anybody, and that was just a little bit easier for her. So
Okay.
what are your thoughts on it, and or the hatred towards single mothers in general, or towards mothers in general, it seems like?
Well, so I know that there are some people that do that. They choose to do the thing where you get the sperm donor and all of that. And, I can understand people make that decision, but I feel bad because I feel like a lot of women in our community, they feel like they have to do that because they don't have, decent men to choose from. And I think a lot of that comes from just not really opening their options to people outside of our community. But for the people who they just maybe don't want to date at all, and it's not a decision that's made out of restriction, I can understand why they would do that, and I think that's probably better than having kids by a Dusty that is going to try to make your life a living hell and not be there to support you and the kid.
Yeah. It's interesting, It's interesting. I hear you, and I appreciate your perspective, Kay. We'll come back to you here in a little bit. Thank you for that, Kay. Yeah, I think that it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And this is why it's so difficult. This topic is so tough, right? The biggest thing that I have people tell me is that, you never hold the women accountable. You never do this. You never do this. You never do that. And I wanted to have this conversation today because there's so many different nuances that happen with these types of instances and situations. I wanted to have this conversation today because I really want to start changing the narrative of mothers in our community, right? I really want to start breaking the shaming that's able to happen in conversations both on and offline. So where if you find yourself online or maybe in another panel, maybe even in real life with somebody who's trying to shame you for being a single mother, or somebody who's trying to shame you with being a mom, or somebody who's trying to shame you with being pregnant, or whatever it might be, I bring these conversations to light so you have hope. So these kinds of topics of discussion can start to share can be shared amongst each other as far as rebuttals, wisdom, answers that you can give back as far as protecting your image, your spirit, as far as protecting your honor, right? So if somebody tells you, oh, well, you're a single mother anyways, and this and that, right? If they try and use this against you, are you married? Are you this? Are you that? Well, of course I'm not married. How would I be married when what are the odds of me being married when I'm in the most unmarried group of people in America, right? Understanding that the same thing that they criticize you for, right? The same thing they criticize you for is what they lack a lot of the time, right?
Can I just add that I think that they criticize you for being in the same positions that they victimize you into being in.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, I had to be careful kind of saying certain things. I 1000% agree with you. It's kind of like what Kevin does, right? It's kind of like what Kevin does. It's very interesting. So he'll ask the questions. He'll drill, ask you question until he finds the chink in your armor, right? The chink in your armor. This whole being a single mother thing, it's right now they see it as a chink. It's a big chink for them because no matter what, they know that they have the pressure of society as a whole to help influence their shaming you, right? They know they have outside pressures and influences that can support their morale and righteous message, right? And so, yeah, it is kind of like what Kay said. They'll bully you. When you finally get to that spot, they'll say, oh, see, we knew that was you. When in reality, you were sitting there and you're like, wait a second. Y'all almost kind of made me out to be this person, right? Y'all made me out to be this person. Be fun, fit, friendly, feminine, nice, whatever it might be. Be willing to date, good guy, high quality guy, whatever it might be, right? Whatever it might be. She did everything that she was supposed to do, right? She did everything she was supposed to do. She decided not to go to school. She got a guy. She got married. She didn't have a child till after she got married, but she got divorced now, right? Now all of a sudden, her being fit is a bad thing because she was probably attracting negative attention, which made the guy not trust her or something like that. All of a sudden, her being feminine was fake now because she was probably just lying because she was a gold digger or something. You see how quickly things can just get kind of like turned around? All of a sudden, being attractive is a bad thing, right? Or like we said, fit is a bad thing because you're starting to attract the eyes of other people, right? You shouldn't be trying to be too flaunty as a woman. So they want you to be feminine, fit, friendly, and nice and attractive. But don't be too attractive, though. Don't be too attractive. Because if you're too attractive and you divorced, right? Obviously, that's your problem, right? It's kind of like the guys that want really beautiful women. They want beautiful women until they realize that there's a lot of guys that are going to be looking at her, that you're going to have a lot of competition, right? Well, they want nice things, but until they realize you got to really work for that nice thing, right? It's it's not understanding the burden appropriately that you're asking for, right? And the child is the same way. You're not really understanding the burden of what it is for a woman to have a child, right? There's accountability, all this other different types of stuff. You're always talking about, black women need to be more accountable. You need to be this, you need to be that. How much more accountable can you be when, if you are going to chastise what is the most prevalent single mothers, also in the same breath making themselves the most prevalent educated women in America? How is that not? Oh, fuck. That burned the fuck out of me. Sorry, y'all. Fucking hell. How is that not accountability? If you're so upset at black women being single mothers, then how can you not be proud at the fact that they're also the most educated women? Does that not offer some kind of leverage? Does that not offer some kind of raising of the bar of accountability a bit? When does the bar of accountability start to finally unburden the shoulders of black women or women in general, right? Because all groups of women, I believe, out-educate men. Maybe not. I don't know. I'm kind of guessing there, right? Black women understood that they don't have the resources, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the family support, they don't have that community value necessary to take care of a family, and so they were held accountable. They realized that life held them accountable. Now they're getting educated. Black women at this point are going to be the new driving force of the economic dollar circulation going up in the black community. It's black women. It's not black men. It's black women who are going to be responsible for this, right? That's what accountability looks like. Accountability looks like being a woman, having the child and saying, you know what? It's going to be tough. It's going to be very hard going forward, but I got to do it. I got to do it for me and my child. I got to at least try. That is accountability. You can't get rid of the child, you know? What do you really propose to do? What's really the solution here? A lot of these guys don't want the solution. The solution to a woman being accountable for having a child is really nothing for you to solve at the end of the day. That's just going to be the way that life works itself out. Life will hold you accountable. If you do stupid things, if you don't pay your tickets, you're going to go to jail. If you don't pay your electricity bill, your lights are going to be cut off. If you don't pay your car note, they're going to come pick up your car. Life always holds you accountable. There's nothing that you can do in life that life's just going to be like, oh, it's cool, you're fine. You might get lucky a time or two. You might be able to go ahead and go raw a time or two and things will be okay. But eventually, you're going to get burned. Sorry to be so graphic. Life has a way of making sure that it holds you accountable. It does. You can't do whatever you like, be happy-go-lucky, and make it through life. It's just not going to happen. That's the natural order of things. You as a person don't need to hold anybody accountable. unless you created that person, unless you're that person's father or mother. If you're a black man, you're probably not the father, obviously, as the numbers show. Well, you are the father. But you're not in the child's life, though. Right? Accountability. You got to give the single moms the scarlet letter. That's the new scarlet letter. It used to stand for adultery. It's changed now. The new form of adultery is it seems being a mother at this point in society. Don't have a child. Don't have a child. Don't continue the civilization of humanity. And listen, I'm not trying to take away from the center. I'm not trying to take away from marriage. I completely understand relationships, marriage, whatever religious type of belief or union that you have, kind of preconceived or that you've been taught, whatever it might be. I support it to the fullest. I'm not trying to say that being single or having a child single, whatever it might be, is the way to go. I'm not saying that at all. I'm simply saying that what you're seeing right now is a response based off of the actions of men, right? Based off of the actions of men, based off of our dating pool, right? Based off of our dating options, based off of technology. We're in different times now, ladies and gentlemen. We are in different times, and unless you get with the times, unless you begin to evolve, unless you begin to change things around a bit for you, you're going to get quickly left. Things are moving. Things are moving, right? Kimberly Watson said at Vivian, men want children. They want to see themselves in a child. I think it depends, right? Like I said, child and children are personal decisions, right? Not all men, I'm sure, want children, but majority, most likely, I'd estimate. The numbers show that 80% of men, or at least black men, have children by age 40. So, majority have children. Definite majority have children, right? But not all. Not all. B. Candy said, "Are these men against adoption too?" It's funny you said that, B. Candy. I was just talking about that the other day. Mystic Tone says, "Hit it on the head, THT." I appreciate that. Smart Cookie says they want beautiful women with low self-esteem. Ben Real says Eve is pregnant and the Dusties are in their feelings like Eve, man ain't a billionaire, right? That's serious right there. It's a billionaire. Lordy. It's a lot of money. Queen Yeah says, I could write a laundry list on how mothers are accountable. These stretch marks, C-section scar, going back and forth to the pediatrician, being there the first day of school, etc. is accountability. Right. What is this? But once again, these guys, men don't want accountability. They want to destroy you. They want to make you feel like shit. Make you feel like shit for bringing life into the world. They want to make you feel like shit for bringing consciousness into the world. Scientists still can't figure out how to replicate consciousness, man. Scientists still can't figure out how to create life. Just create life in and out of itself. Humans can't do that. Humans can't just simply create life. We can take life and modify it, but we can't create life. But millions of men would have the greatest miracle known in mankind's history, would have that to be your shame as a woman. And I'm not saying, once again, ladies and gentlemen, that all women are good. I'm not saying that. I understand that there are bad mothers who do horrible things to children. I completely believe we need to get rid of all of them as well. However, you cannot apply a one-size-fits-all shoe effect to this conversation. My own father was raised by a single mother for a large portion of his life. My father, right? Good man, was raised by a single mother. The single mother that raised my father also raised her brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles because she didn't want her brothers and sisters to go to foster care, right? So at 18 or 19, she ended up getting a house and then moving all of her brothers and sisters and their children into the house. That was a single mother. That was my grandmom, right? That was my grandmother. Single mother. You see, these types of stories happen all over the diaspora, as they call it. The diaspora. Even the word sounds like fucking struggle. Diaspora. Without that single mom in my family, without my grandmother being in my family, things would have been very different. Isaiah Verset says 500 years of struggle and we still can't get it together as black men. I hate being a black man. Isaiah, you know, I remember one day having severe thoughts of similarities. I said, man, it would be kind of cool to be it'd be kind of cool to be on a lake, you know, hunting out in the woods. Having said that, though, I mean, that's what my upbringing was, you know. It really was. I was raised with white people. But I understand how sometimes you can get this feeling like, damn, you know, it's kind of the feeling as a black guy like, man, there's a lot of work to do, right? It's a lot of work to do, right? But it is what it is. You know, it's the burden of leadership and responsibility. We need to, and I'm going to focus on making this world a better place when I leave, man. I'm going to focus on giving my children, right? I want to focus on being a type of person where I give my children, whether adopted, natural, whatever it might be in life, a reality to live in to where they don't ever have to have that thought. They don't ever have to have that, man, I wish I was, right? They don't ever have to have that. I'll make sure they're in the community. If not my children, adopted, natural, somebody else's children. That's my goal. So they don't have to have that, damn, I hate. Damn, I wish I wasn't black. Damn. Right? We all have that thought. We've all had that thought. Every single one of us as black people has thought, damn, niggas, man. Right? We have. It's a fact. It's a fact. Read some more comments right now. Read some more comments. Ebby, she was an amazing woman. I appreciate that. Thank you. Applesauce says, I only getting with someone who values commitment, working together, raising family, building together. Yeah, you know, I think that's good. It's definitely good. Definitely good. Kenzo says black men are really effed up in the head. It's really sad. You know, we've definitely talked about it a lot, and we'll continue to talk about what's going on and new topics and messages and things like that in the future. But I understand. Thank you for the comment. I hear you. A Matty D says, how can black men not understand the stress involved for black women to raise, quote unquote, a black child in a world where they do not have access to resources, sovereignty, and control of creating our own reality and no protections coupled on top of that? It's very tough to do that. Very tough to do that. And, you know, I think the biggest thing is this, and we've talked about this before, right? If you ask most guys or most people in general, you'll be like, hey, who's more influential? And oh, shoot, I didn't see everybody in Zoom. Sorry, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get to our Zoom callers right now, participants. Thank y'all. Rounding this up, who's the more influential parent, right? They'll be like, oh, the mother is. Cool. All right, should we help single moms? No, F single moms. You're like, all right, let's go ahead and go to our callers here. I don't know who joined, but I think maybe it was Reese, so we'll go Reese and then Kanye West. It may be the real Kanye. We might be lucking out, ladies and gentlemen. Kanye West is in the building. Reese R., the floor is yours, Reese. What did you think about single mothers? Are you a single mother? Or what did you think about the discussion in relation to single mothers?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Fantastic. No, I am not a single mother, so we'll just start from there. I have no children. But with regards to the single mother conversation, it is, as you have pointed out, a chink in the armor, a very sore spot, and a spot where black men, the manosphere, whomever, they like to really dig into that sore spot every opportunity that they can. Yeah. So now my way of thinking is, for black women, how do we combat that? How do we strategically fight back against this? And I think that the power of words now is on our side. I'm reminded of the show Mad Men. Maybe my age is showing a little bit with that. But in Mad Men, there was a line where Don Draper would say, if you don't like the what is being said, change the conversation. So if the conversation is constantly about single mothers, that's the word over and over, single mothers, it's very easy to blame the mother if we're talking about right there, the brand single mothers. That's what the conversation is about. So let's change it. Let's talk about, I don't know, absentee fathers. Let's do that over and over. I'm not talking about single mothers anymore and single mother households anymore. I'm talking about absentee father households. I'm talking about the children of absentee fathers over and over until it hits in. We're going to change the conversation. Why not? And that way, maybe with rebranding the conversation, we can then find a chink in their armor. Because if it's a big chink in yours as single mothers or as women, it must be conversely on the other side of the coin as big a chink in the armor for them to be constantly reminded of how you have failed the mother of your child or children, how you have failed those little ones that you have brought into the world, how you have failed to provide for them, how you have failed to protect them, how you have thrown them to the wolves as an absentee father over and over and over again until they get it. It is an undeniable fact. So let's change the conversation. Absentee fathers, that's what I'm talking about with regards to this conversation. And I think that's all that I can offer at present. So I'll go on mute and let someone else have a turn.
I appreciate that, Reese. Thank you so much. Well said by Reese. Well said. I understand that. Sometimes you have to bring fire with fire. Kanye West, the floor is yours, Kanye.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you perfectly, Kanye.
I've been looking at the show. I don't see how you can talk about single mothers without highlighting how problematic such a situation is.
Okay.
Like, if you listen to what the lady was saying, yeah, every reason why she said she chose to be a single mother is extremely selfish. She never talked about how that kid is going to be at a greater risk of parental abuse, a greater risk of neglect, less likely to graduate from high school or college, more likely to become a single parent themselves. These are serious consequences that come as a result of being a union or as a result of being raised by a single mother. And we cannot hide from such realities.
So let me ask you a question. Do you know if the children going to jail is based off of the study of single mothers, or is it single parents in general?
Just say that again.
So let me ask you a question. You do know that the abuse of children or whatever it might be is higher for single mothers as well as single fathers, correct?
Yeah.
So it's higher for both races, right? The reason it's higher for both races is because whenever there's one parent in the household, in this case, in the traditional sense, as far as an American lifestyle goes, there's not as much time, resources, and energy for the child, right?
Correct.
So naturally, you'll have more instances of exasperated emotional transactions amongst mother-father, or mother-son, mother-daughter, or father-daughter, father-son. So the rates of conviction, the rates of abuse are higher for single moms and single dads. Now, in this case in particular,
yes.
In this case in particular, you have to understand that, and I'll try and say this I'll say this. Okay, I'll say this. In this case in particular, if you have a mother who is a good parent and a father who is not a good parent, would you not agree that the mother is the better parent for the child to be with? Wouldn't it make sense for the kid to be with the mother?
Yes.
Okay. Now, obviously, that would mean that I know maybe she shouldn't have had a child with a guy, right? She should have chosen a better guy, right? If he was a bad guy, don't have a child, right?
Exactly. It's a problem.
It's a problem.
In the Bible.
There we go. It's a problem. It's a problem. Okay, it's a problem. So
Proverb. I said proverb.
Oh, all right. It's a problem. So here's the thing. All right. Here's the thing. there are good guys right now who are still not with their children, who are still not in their family's life, right? Being a good guy, it means a lot of things. Being a good guy, right?
Yes.
Now, and I'm being careful with what I say to you. I'm being very careful. So, if she made a mistake and she thought the guy was a good guy, she thought he was nice, but he wasn't a good guy, and she has a baby, what exactly is she supposed to do?
So if she made a mistake by having a child out of wedlock.
Out of wedlock.
Yeah.
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
does getting married make you a good person?
No, but
No, it doesn't.
When it comes to raising a child,
Right.
all numbers show that it's a better solution than simply raising a child by yourself. You cannot deny that.
Of course. So let me ask you.
Okay, sorry, continue.
No, you're fine. So let me ask you this question then. And where are you from? Can I ask?
I'm Kenyan.
You're from Kenya?
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you a question then. What would you tell a woman to do who finds herself amongst a group of men who don't believe in marriage? What would you tell her to do? How is she supposed to have a child if the men that she's with don't have children, or don't believe in marriage? So they don't want to get married.
Yeah.
What would you say she's supposed to do? Just don't have children in this case?
No. It's like not every black man doesn't want to get married. So the black men that do want to get married, the white men that do want to get married, you put yourself around marriage-minded men.
Okay.
Same thing. My parents tell me, my mothers, my aunties, they tell me to, when it comes to dating, I put myself around women who are marriage-minded.
Right.
Never date casually.
Right. Okay. So let me ask you, are you married right now?
No, I'm not yet. But I have every intention of getting married in the future.
You're going to be married in the future?
Yeah, in about 3 years, I hope.
In about 3 years? Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So you have a girlfriend right now that you're going to be marrying?
No.
No? Okay, but you'll have one later.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Here's my thing. You're Kenyan, and so I don't know. I know we have a lot of differences. Maybe not too many differences between us, but I think that what you're speaking on, as far as marriage and the traditional roles of marriage, is in a perfect world a good thing, right? Obviously, if you look at the numbers, the couples who are married together have better off children, and this and that, right? But you must understand that those numbers are once again based off of the fact that there are going to be a dynamic couple, both man and woman, or both man and man, or woman and woman, or whatever it might be, two adults that are going to be supporting that child, right? Two adults that are dynamic, that look out for the child the best, thus giving you a better result from children who come from married or two-parent households. Now, this doesn't take into account, or this maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, the fact that there are lots of two-parent households which are effed up, all right, which are very bad, right?
That's true.
There are lots of people who are in marriages that are in very bad positions, right?
Correct.
So once again, yes, it does go back to the numbers to reflect a certain norm, right? And I think it's good to definitely understand that majority is the rule. However, times
Can I ask a
change.
question?
Yeah, of course, and I'll let you go right now. However, times change, and as times continue to change, I think that the rules to things change as well. For instance, business isn't done the same way it was done 50 years ago, right? We had to change. We had the internet. There are no more phone books. Is business still being done? Yes. Money is still being exchanged. Cars are still being sold, but cars are not being sold in the same way in 2021 as they were being sold in 1921, because the rules and the operations of the fundamental essence of selling a car, the infrastructure of selling a car has changed drastically. I believe relationships are just like this right now. The laws to marriage have changed quite a bit. The laws to relationships have changed quite a bit. Things are different, right? Things are a little bit different now. And with differences comes a need to understanding that if things are a bit different, we have to accommodate a different set of thoughts or beliefs, right? I understand that that the Model T Ford or that car sold in 1921, it's worth a lot of money. It might still drive, all right? It might still drive. But a 1921 car and a 2021 car are two very different elements. They both drive, but 1950s marriage or 1960s marriage or whatever stat, I don't know at this point, is very different from 2021 marriage. What's your question? Go ahead.
Because you talked about how there's family unions where both parents are problematic, which is true. But I've always wondered, why do we always focus on the negatives which makes people like run away from marriage? Yet all the numbers show that most marriages, the children are more likely to do better under marriages. Why don't we stress that rather than the anecdotal situation where the kid is problematic because of a two-parent household, when most kids when you're more likely to do better if you come from a two-parent household than if not.
Right.
We can't say, well, this can happen. Why do we always focus on the negative, which is less likely the case, than emphasize the positive? Like if marriage was stressed out more often in community now, wouldn't you say that most people would be doing better compared to if it wasn't?
Right. My thing is this. Thank you, Self Love Heals, with the $40 super chat. Self Love Heals coming in the clutch with a huge super chat again. Thank you, Self Love Heals. Here's my thing. Okay. Here's my thing. The man marries the woman, right? The man bends down and gives her a ring, right?
Correct.
Right. So it's up to the men to marry the women. It's up to the men.
Yes.
If you have a group of men that don't want to marry the women or that don't believe in marrying women, then what exactly how do you propose that women find marriage? What can they do if the men don't want to marry?
The first thing that does, put yourself around marriage-minded men.
Right.
And like, okay, bad people do exist. Yeah, and good men are hard to come by, but you have to put yourself in that situation. And I would say, like the Bible says, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Right. So you ask yourself, are you a wife? Are you the type of woman this good man would look for? Yeah. Okay. And have faith in that.
Okay. Well, Kay wanted to ask you a question. Kay, what question did you want to ask Kanye West here? Go ahead, Kay. Hold on. Let me ask Kay to unmute herself. There you go.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Okay, so I know he said that he's from Kenya, but in America, I'm assuming he doesn't know the statistics of men that actually, or Black men that actually went to marry, regardless of the race. So for the first time in history, the number of, or the percent of Black men that actually are likely to get married, according to last year's census, is 49%. So prior to the 2020 census, it had always been more than 50% of men. For the first time in history, it is 49% of black men that are actually willing to get married, that will ever
Wow.
get married in their lifetime. So when
All
he
right.
says to put yourself around men that want to get married, you already, at least in America, I can't speak for what's going on in Kenya, I don't know. But at least, in America, the black women already outnumber black men. And then when you take that
Like in most
position where
countries.
hold on, you take that position where we already outnumber them, and then less than half of them are even going to ever get married in their lifetime. What do you suggest that the other women do that outnumber them, that outnumber the men that will ever actually even get married? I mean, to me, it just sounds like you're telling black women to just date other races of men. Would that be correct?
Yeah, sure. Like you're not obligated to marry one person. Fortunately, in Africa, every other country around us is black people. So I can say I don't want to marry a Kenyan, but I can marry Ugandan and still find a black woman there. But you're not obligated to marry someone specifically because of their race. And then you also have to, which begs to differ, why aren't the men of the other communities running to marry you?
That's a good question. I think a lot of it has to do really with self-hate because, in Africa, and I watch a lot of the African.
I'm gonna answer this question real quick. Okay.
Okay.
I appreciate you. Okay, my bad. So this question is brought up a lot, and I appreciate you, Kanye, for asking this question. Why aren't other races of men running to marry black women, right? And so I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked this question. And it's not necessarily that other races of men aren't running up to marry black women. That is happening. As a matter of fact, my cousin is married to a white man. So you can say that what you will. My sisters are going to prom and homecoming with white boys, right? So I think the biggest thing is that black women have been so loyal for such a long time to black men in America that there's this idea that a white man might not date them. I've heard plenty of women sit back and wonder if white guys, or if that white guy likes black girls or whatever it might be. And for the most part, I'll tell you this, Kanye, as well as Kay, women in general, no matter what her race is always going to bear a higher sexual market value than a man is. A woman can date interracially far before a man can. And that goes for all races of women, because women have much higher sexual market value than men, right? So as far as why other men aren't coming to marry black women at an unprecedented rate, the numbers show that when black women do marry white men, black women have more successful marriages with white men than white women have with white men. And the numbers between successful marriage of black women and white men is so ridiculously higher than black men and white women that it would make your head spin. It's at a rate of 244% higher success rate of marriage that black women have with white men, as far as in opposition to black men and white women. So black women eviscerate black men when it comes down to actually successfully marrying and staying married. Getting married is great, but that's not the end goal. Staying married is if marriage is important to you, staying married is the end goal, Kanye, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? What do you think about black women marrying interracially 244% better than black men? Did you even know that to begin with?
Yeah, I did.
You did.
Yeah.
So that tells me, and it should tell you, that when black women do decide to date interracially, they're actually better companions than black men are. So do you think the problem is that black women aren't dating out interracially, or choosing not to date out interracially, or do you think the problem is that they're not being approached by men of other races?
Wait, just ask that question again.
I said if black women are doing better interracially than they are in marriages within their own race, right?
Yeah.
If black women do better with other races of men than with their own race, how do you get that other races of men don't like to marry black women when they do better with other races of men?
How do I get the other races of men to marry black women?
No. I said other races of men have no problem marrying black women, because when other races of men do marry black women, black women do much better than black men who marry other races of women. All right.
Is that true?
Yes, it's extremely true. You can look it up for yourself. Look up black men, white women divorce rates, and then look up black women, white men divorce rates. You can look it up for yourself. The information is out there. But I'm not, once again, I'm not making this about marriage, okay? I'm not making this about marriage. I'm making this about the idea that being a single mother is inherently, it makes you a bad person or evil person. That's simply not the case. But if you're going to argue it from a marriage standpoint, black women have a much better track record of marriage than black men do. In and outside of our race. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just
black
a fact.
women.
But I'm confused. This didn't exactly answer my question. I asked you, why aren't these men running to marry black women? Because we know 1 out of 4 black women get married. Why? And we all know you're not obligated to marry the same person from the same race as you. Then you also have to ask, why aren't these men running to marry black women? Because despite whatever you say, there's still far more black men in your country married than black women. And that's problematic.
There's far more black men married than black women in this country?
Yeah.
Do you know what the numbers are, or what the numbers are around? How many is far more? What percentage?
If you look at, I can go on blackdemographics.com.
Just a rough guesstimate. What percentage of black men are married, and what percentage of black women are married?
I literally just said it.
Oh, you did?
But I'm going. Yeah. I said it was 49% will ever get married in their lifetime. Not that are currently married, but 49% according to the 2020 Census Bureau. 49% will ever get married in their lifetime. Now, who knows how many are married now? Probably less than that. But 49% will ever get married in their lifetime.
To 25% of black women.
Word.
That's very problematic.
Oh, classy rubies in the chat.
Well, wait a second. Okay, so half of black men are going to get married. So it's not that more black men are married. It's actually the other way around. That less black men than black women get married. In this case, that's what we just read from the Census Bureaus. All right.
No, 1 out of 4.
I believe for black women, it's about 30-something% of them will ever get married, and it's 49% of black men will ever get married.
Okay, so
and you have a lot of them also marry their preferences, so that that's a big chunk of that.
Okay, 49% and 39%. 49% men getting married, 39% women getting married. All right.
That's a problem.
Yeah, 30-something%. I'm not sure the exact number, but 30-something% of black women. I think it might be 36, but I'm not sure exactly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that, Kay. So Kanye, the problem with this reasoning is this: it would make sense, and here's why, right? Even if every black man got married in America, there are more black women than black men. So even if every single one got married, there's not enough men. You understand that, right?
Yes, I do. But that's the same in most countries. In most countries, the women outnumber the men.
In America, in the black community, it's a bit higher as far as the percentage of women that outpopulate men than it is in most other places. In America, it's just a bit higher. Do you know why that is? That's because we are dealing with a severe amount of incarceration for a lot of our men. America's number one as far as incarceration goes in the world, right? Maybe China is really close. I don't know, right? So a lot of black men are locked up and in jail right now, right? So there's a lot going on as to why there are far more women right now than men. But it's more than what you're saying right now. It's there's multiple layers to this problem. It's not just that the women are going to end up outpopulating the men. So if all of them get married, no, we're facing a severe shortage in available men because of crime, because of lack of education. I don't know if you know about black American males, but from all the studies and from all the conversations that I've had with African guys in college, they pretty much told me how all of African, people see black people, black males specifically, and it's not the best light, right?
In most countries in Africa, third world countries,
right?
Like, who are we to say? But I have a question, though.
Sure, and we'll do this last question, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. I don't have that much time on Zoom, apparently.
Okay. So it shows that Of the college-educated black men in your country, 30% of those men marry out of their race.
Okay.
It is, no community can have a situation where 30% of the best men that their community has to offer marries outside their race.
Right.
And the only reason why they do that simply can't be because they hate themselves.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'd have to ask you a question. After because you said they can't do that because they hate themselves. That can't be the only reason. I don't know. I'd have to argue that and just rebut with this. If black men don't hate themselves, then why is it that after black men stopped hanging black men from trees, or why is it that after white men stopped hanging black men from trees, that black men started killing themselves in America? Why is it that gangster rap became popular and the fetishization of killing black men became popular in America? Why is that?
That's a big problem.
But I wasn't talking about those men. I'm talking about the 30% of college-educated black men that date outside their race.
The 30% of college-educated black men that date outside of their race being a problem with them not wanting to date inside of their race.
That's true.
And one second, Goten, because we don't have much time right now. Goten, we'll let you speak a little bit more on the next live stream because I'm getting ready to wrap this up here in a little bit. Okay. If 30% of men want to date outside of their race, and I'll give you a crash course on this, that lets me know a few different things, right? Number one, most likely he's seeking validation outside of his own race and community because he values the hard work and the infrastructure that other races of men have placed inside of their community. So when he goes to get a white woman, or a Latino woman, or an Asian woman, or whatever other race of women who have more traditional men who are more family oriented in society, he sees himself as pegging up or rising up above a step, right? A step and a head and shoulders above his fellow black brethren, right? Because he has a trophy. He has a little piece of the white man's air, of the white man's fried chicken that he can show on his arm when he walks through the mall, right? So a part of it is that it's a fetishization, however you say that word, of the need to show that you're accepted into the group of power, into the group of whatever it might be, popularity, because you I don't know, we're able to get a different race of woman, right? Dating interracially is uncommon right now. It's not common and it's not rare. It's just uncommon at this point. And so when you see interracial couples, you might do a little head turn. You might say, oh, well, wow, hey, look at that. That's cool, right? So it's uncommon.
It's rising.
Huh?
It's rising.
It's rising. There you go. But with the 30% of males in particular, there's this thing that happens in pop culture with black males, and you say it can't be that they hate themselves, but I'm telling you this is exactly what it is. When you have a group of men who are known for becoming prolific, high earners, highly educated, and they choose not to go back to that same downtrodden environment that's going to be a continuous non-ending door of circulation, of torment, lack of infrastructure, lack of education, and it's going to continue for generations on, that is the definition of hating yourself. That's the literal definition of self-immolation, self-hatred, of community hatred. That's the literal definition of a nation divided and not being able to prosper. So I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a very big issue with the guys who seek outside racial validation, who seek outside racial motivation to be his incentive for wanting to date interracially versus actually or marrying interracially versus actually falling in love with the person. I don't care who anybody dates, but I don't stand for you shitting on women. I don't stand for you trying to make your choice in who you want to date known in a rude manner, right? I don't stand for that, So if you want to marry interracially, then you can marry interracially. But there's a lot of reasons why they do that, and most of the reasons aren't that they just happen to meet an interracial woman at Starbucks one day and everything went better than expected, right?
Oh, but what about what they say is the nasty attitude? What about they say it's the single mother? Because even NBA players, we all know how A lot of NBA players date interracially, but when they get asked why they do, they say it's because these are the women that are typically around them.
Right.
Black women are out making themselves available to these kind of men.
Yeah. We'll talk about that next time, Kanye. We don't have that much time on here, but keep the questions. We'll talk about it next time for sure, man. I appreciate you though.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you everybody who joined the Zoom panel. I appreciate that. Ending the meeting for all, and I'm leaving the meeting. This is why I do these panels, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for, I believe, A Maddie D with the $10 Canadian, because I see CA. So that is A Maddie D. She said the real question: why would a woman, i.e., white woman, leave the men of her collectively powerful group to be with the black men who lacks protections and who's globally subjugated and vulnerable to her group of men? It's a great question there. That's a great question there. This is why I make these streams, ladies and gentlemen, because there are other groups of men. It sounded like he was a Middle Easterner, but he was a Kenyan. There are other groups of men that assume or that ascribe this idea, this notion of the single woman as a black woman, the single black woman concept, right? We joke about it in movies. We joke about it in our daily conversations. Just like we joke about Pookies and Ray Rays. I don't joke about it. You know, it's nothing to joke about to me. But there's a lot going on here, and there's still a lot more to unpack. So we're back. We'll be going back in with the live streams. This is going to be a shorter one today. I'm going to wrap this up. But we'll be back for a part 2, and we have some other live streams going off, right? Stream just stopped. StreamYard is your friend. Yeah, I like StreamYards, but the quality of the stream is just not as good. So like this one, it's crystal clear quality, you know? It's crystal clear quality. At least it should be. Crystal clear quality, 1440, and it just looks amazing. And StreamYards, I don't get that same video quality. As a matter of fact, it's so different on StreamYards that it's terrible. It's like no comparison. No comparison whatsoever, right? No comparison. So I hear you. I completely understand. I get you, you know, but I just wish that they could do it a little bit better. If they could do StreamYards, could do higher video quality, I'd have no problem joining StreamYards, but what can you do? What can you do? An hour and 45 minutes. It's not terrible today, y'all. It's not terrible today. Anyways, listen, y'all. This is going to wrap it up today. I'll be back in a couple of days. I love y'all. Every single one of y'all. I answered everybody's emails. TheHonestTruthYT@gmail.com. This is going to wrap it up. Y'all stay cool. Y'all stay amazing. And I'll see y'all soon. Okay? I'll see y'all soon.